Namaskar. Myself Dr. Dipti Bisht, Professor, Department of Chichiksa, Faculty of Ayurveda Sciences, Jyoti Vidyapeeth, Women's University, Jaipur. In today's session for class BMS fourth year, we are going to study hypertensive crisis. This is the emergency condition. From this topic, we are starting our emergency management of various diseases. So let's start the topic. Hypertensive crisis. As you know, hypertensive crisis is an acute life-threatening situation associated with hypertension. In this condition, there is sudden rise of arterial blood pressure to a very high level, that is more than 250 by 150 mmHg. Conventionally, it is classified as hypertensive emergency and hypertensive urgency. Hypertensive emergencies are invariably associated with progressive target organ damage and require immediate reduction of blood pressure, that is within 1 hour, preferably by parenteral measures. Hypertensive urgency, on the other hand, implies marked elevation in blood pressure, usually without any evidence of target organ damage. A more gradual lowering of blood pressure by oral medication is permissible in such cases, depending upon the clinical situation. So, hypertensive crisis can lead to stroke if not treated well in time, and it is accompanied with clinical and pathological manifestations. Two categories which I have told: urgent hypertensive crisis. Usually there is no evidence of target organ damage, although there is papilledema, that is increased intracranial pressure on ophthalmoscopy. In cases of emergency hypertensive crisis, blood pressure is extremely high and can be associated with life-threatening complications like hypertensive encephalopathy, intracerebral hemorrhage, subarachnoid hemorrhage. Similarly, thrombotic brain infarction may be there. Also, there is some cardiac complications like acute left ventricular dysfunction, acute myocardial infarction may be there, or unstable angina, and sometimes there may be acute aortic dissection. Again, another complication is severe hypertension, which can result in conditions like pheochromocytoma, eclampsia, head trauma. Severe epistaxis may cause this, post-operative bleeding, again, extensive burns, acute renal insufficiency. So these are the complications or conditions of emergency hypertensive crisis. In case of urgent hypertensive crisis, there is usually accelerated or malignant hypertension, sometimes perioperative hypertension. Sometimes in these cases, hypertension is associated with congestive heart failure, stable angina, or transient ischemic attack. So it needs to be emphasized that differentiation between emergencies and urgencies should not be based on a particular blood pressure level alone. More important factors which determine the urgency of lowering blood pressure in a given patient are the rate at which blood pressure rises, prior level of blood pressure, and the resultant or associated clinical state. In most of the conditions constituting hypertensive crisis, diastolic blood pressure is more than 130 mmHg. However, a previously normotensive subject could develop and organ dysfunction, even with a diastolic pressure of 110 mmHg. Likewise, in aortic dissection case, a diastolic blood pressure of even 110 may be dangerous. On the other hand, many patients with chronic hypertension may be asymptomatic with diastolic blood pressure around 130 mmHg. So, other things should also be observed besides the blood pressure measurement. Now, clinical features. The onset of illness is often marked by triad of symptoms. These are headache, blurring of vision, and anorexia. Renal impairment soon sets in manifesting as excessive fatigue, nausea, vomiting, and hiccups. Epistaxis may also occur, and in later condition, cardiac failure may be common. Blood pressure is very high, diastolic reading being nearly always over 130 mmHg, and most characteristic change occurs in the eyes due to acute damage to arterial wall with resultant exudate, hemorrhage, and papilledema. Similarly, untreated cases deteriorate rapidly and die from brain damage or progressive renal failure. So, in short, the signs and symptoms are there may be severe chest pain, severe headache with confusion, blood vision, nausea, vomiting, severe anxiety, shortness of breath, seizures, and unresponsiveness. Management of hypertensive emergency. Immediate lowering of blood pressure is required in such cases, and therefore parenteral therapy is preferred. Aim should be to reduce mean pressure to 120 mmHg or to lower mean pressure by 20 to 25% over 30 to 90 minutes. So, the main steps in management of hypertensive crisis is first one is hospitalization as soon as possible. Second one is complete bed rest. Third is use of tranquilizers. Fourth one is treatment of the cause. And the last is use of antihypertensive drugs appropriately and according to situation. So, in initial therapy, if there is likely to be some delay in instituting parenteral antihypertensive therapy, then nifedipine 5 mg should be given sublingually. This may reduce blood pressure by 10 to 20% of pre-treatment level, and effect starts within 1 to 5 minutes and is maximum at 15 to 20 minutes. Dose may be repeated once or twice at 15 to 20 minutes interval. If response is inadequate and there is likely to be some delay in instituting IV therapy, in later situation, oral hypotensive agents should also be started simultaneously. For this, furosemide 40 mg IV is also usually given and may be especially beneficial in patients with hypertensive encephalopathy. Parenteral drugs which should be used are sodium nitroprusside. It is most potent parenteral hypotensive agent with a rapid onset of action and immediate reversibility. It also has minimal side effects. These qualities make it an ideal drug for most of the hypertensive emergencies, and drug is administered IV through an infusion pump, initially at the rate of 0.25 to 0.5 mg per kg per minute with constant monitoring of blood pressure. Then dosage is adjusted according to blood pressure response, but should not generally exceed to milligram per kg per minute. Because at this rate there is little risk of cyanide toxicity. Then another drug is nitroglycerin. It is a vasodilator and decreases both preload and afterload, thereby lowering blood pressure. Given IV, it is the drug of choice when severe hypertension is associated with myocardial infarction or unstable angina. Nitroglycerin also produces cerebral vasodilatation, and since it can cause increase in intracranial pressure, it should not be used in hypertensive encephalopathy. The dose is 5 to 10 milligram per minute IV, and it acts within 2 to 5 minutes. Another drug is labetalol, which is a combined alpha-beta blocker, but alpha blocking properties predominate clinically in the treatment of hypertensive emergencies. Marked reduction in systemic vascular resistance results in lowering of blood pressure with little change in cardiac output or heart rate. So because of associated beta blocking effect, the drug should be avoided in severe sinus bradycardia, heart failure, and asthma-like conditions. Similarly, esmolol is a short-acting beta blocker. It can also be used. Next drug is nicardipine and nimodipine. Dihydropyridine calcium channel blocker, and when given IV, these are as effective as nitroprusside in rapidity of antihypertensive action. There is little change in heart rate and only a small increase in cardiac output. Nimodipine has apparently greater selectivity for cerebral vessels and is perhaps the drug of choice in management of cerebrovascular hypertensive emergencies, especially the subarachnoid hemorrhage. So, nicardipine and nimodipine, these are dihydropyridine calcium channel blockers, and they are different field of use I have mentioned. And another drug is hydralazine, which is a peripheral vasodilator, and it also acts by dilatation of peripheral vessels and reduction of blood pressure. So these are some important drugs which are usually used in hypertensive emergencies, and these are generally used in as IV in the form of IV route. Hypertensive urgencies can be dealt or managed with oral therapy. Almost all oral antihypertensive drugs are effective in controlling severe blood pressure. As I have told earlier, hypertensive urgency can be managed slowly over time. Therapy must be initiated with sublingual nifedipine as for hypertensive emergency if there is very high blood pressure on measuring, and then continued with any one or more of the commonly used drugs like nifedipine, angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor, that you know as ACE inhibitor, quinidine, alpha blockers, and labetalol. All these medicines are taken orally. A combination of drugs with different pharmacological properties is more effective, and at the same time, it reduces the frequency and severity of adverse effects. It is useful to add a small dose of diuretic with other antihypertensive agents, since reactive renal sodium retention often accompanies a fall in blood pressure, and it may produce a certain degree of tolerance to the drug. So this is the management of hyperurgency. So in this lecture, we have covered management of both hypertensive crisis, that is hypertensive emergency, and hypertensive urgency. In next lecture, we will take some another topic of emergency management. Namaskar. Have a nice day.